got some more books to recommend. Welcome back to my little corner on the internet. Today, I'm going to be recommending books based on your music taste. I have a couple of artists that I thought up, and I selected some corresponding books that I think would go hand in hand. Disclaimer, if I haven't mentioned an artist that you listen to or that you enjoy, sorry, there are too many, so I just picked the ones that I knew the most, and books knowing that I have books that match. So we're just gonna start because I'm excited to talk about these books because I really like them. So first we're gonna start out with the infamous Phoebe Bridgers / Elliott Smith sad, folky, bright eyes type of vibe. The book that I chose is The Red Arrow by William Brewer. I read this last year, I think it was. I chose this one because it has a very sort of easygoing, melancholic, soft atmosphere, but it is also very, very emotional because it basically deals with this artist who's a ghostwriter, and he's chasing, I think he's a scientist, I think it was, to try and write this man's memoir. But he's also an artist, and he's kind of getting lost in life. He doesn't know where he's going. He's having troubles with his relationship with his partner, and he's dealing with his depression now, and it follows his life and his struggles with his mental health, his relationships, and his love and passion for art and writing. And I feel like this is just a perfect encapsulation of the sort of sad folky music, and it's perfect to read at a park. You put on some headphones, listen to some sad folky guitar music, and just get into it. I have a few annotations in there, but I remember going to the park and reading this and crying, and I was taken aback because a bit too relatable at times. So next artist that has been in everyone's minds recently, and that is Charlie XCX, or any sort of, if you know any other artists that kind of have that sort of very fun, playful, hyper, we just want to have fun and be young and crazy and just vibes, then I am here to recommend Happy Hour by Marlo Granados. And I read this year, and I made a little video about it on TikTok, but I love this book so much. First of all, it was made for me because it's set in New York. One of the main characters is called Isa. Hello. But it basically follows his two friends, and they've just moved to New York, and they're in their early 20s. Everything's messy. They're trying to figure their shit out. They're just having fun, doing anything they can to make money, but they're also a bit careless, and it's very reflective of how it feels to be young and not know exactly what you're doing and not having a super solid plan in life. And I feel like that kind of just matches Brat, It's just about living life, being messy, having fun, not overthinking too much. And this is just so fun. I love this book so much. And it's just drama, and it's, yes, I really, really love this book. I gave it 5 stars, I think, or 4.5. The writing itself is so easy to digest, but it's also not too bland, if you know what I mean. The characters have depth, and they seem very, very real and authentic. I mentioned that if you like the movie Daisies, the 1966, I think it was, if you like that movie, this is the book. The next artist is, if you love Fiona Apple, the artist, if you like artists that kind of are very visceral, very emotional, and very in touch with their feelings, but also very angry at times, I am recommending Animal by Lisa Taddeo. I also talked about this book. I also read this year, and I absolutely loved it. It's so good. This book is a sort of very intense meditation and reflection about this woman's life and her past trauma, and how that has impacted her in her adulthood, and how has that led her to kind of do very questionable things. It kind of is a very visceral, very intense and raw representation of a woman spiraling, and her intrusive thoughts and how that leads to sort of breakdown in her life. But I think it was so good because it was very unapologetic. It was very real, and she doesn't shy away from pointing out the sort of intrusive thoughts, no matter how disgusting and insane they might be. But I really appreciated this book because although she does go through a lot and it's very intense, do look up trigger warnings. But in the end, it's not all about her castration as a woman. But I thought it was really, really good. So if you enjoy Fiona Apple, this is it. I really, really enjoyed this book. Next is for my Lana Del Rey fans. I don't know any other artist that kind of carries the same aura, I guess, the same sort of artistic style of her music, but I am going to recommend, this is a very well-known book, and that is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugene. I think many of us have probably already read this book, but I feel like it's so good. I have another copy of it that's fully annotated, but when I saw this one in the bookstore one time, this edition with this cover, I had to get it because look at how pretty. It's very, very heavily focused around the Lisbon sisters and girlhood, teenagehood, growing up as girls. It's just about girlhood, which I feel like a lot of Lana Del Rey's music kind of is very heavily centralized on her experience as a woman and sexuality being sexualized, interesting relationships with men and things of such. And I feel like it's a very, very nice exploration of girlhood and the sort of intricacies and the mystique of it all. It is very intense and kind of insane, given, if you can't tell by the title, if you don't know what this is about, do look up trigger warnings because it does deal a lot with, you know, mental health and the impacts that, you know, how you are treated as a girl when you are young and how that infiltrates you and how you view yourself and what can that lead to. So, but I feel like it's just Lana Del Rey. I always had the association with Lana and this book. I almost did recommend Lolita, but I feel like that was too on the nose. So I went with The Virgin Suicides. Next is an artist that I love, and that is Berlioz, or any sort of newer contemporary house jazz music. And the book that I have to recommend is the Keith Haring Journals. This is nonfiction. This is literally Keith Haring's journals. I bought this in Toronto when I went to see one of his exhibitions that I didn't even know was happening. It was all by chance, but it was, for me, it was a very emotional experience because I really love Keith Haring. It's very, very cathartic to be able to witness his work in real life. And I bought this there. And oh my God. Oh wow. This is just, it's a really well, I guess, structured publication of his journals and his personal life, because it does also have, you know, imagery, photography, sketches of his life that accompanies his entries. I feel like it was just so great to see his life being told from his perspective, not just a random biography or watching a video essay or whatever. Oh, it made me cry a lot. So if you really love art, contemporary art scene, which is how I kind of associate Berlioz and house jazz with, this is an amazing, amazing, amazing publication to get into. This is the last recommendation. The last one is if you enjoy Grouper or Sylvia Plath, specifically this album, or any sort of very atmospheric, melancholy sort of music like that, shoegazy, I am recommending Eileen by Otessa Mosag. I have mentioned this book before. I love Otessa Mosag. I just read Death in Her Hands, which I really, really liked. Very underrated. But this is the epitome of what Grouper's music sounds like. Basically, this follows Eileen, and it's around Christmas time, and she's dealing with taking care of her alcoholic father while also working as a secretary in this prison. And she also becomes kind of intensely fascinated by, what's her name? Was it Rebecca? She becomes intensely fascinated with Rebecca, this woman who she works with. And it's a very insane observation of her life as a woman working in this prison with all these horrible men who are criminals, and also dealing with her abusive father. And that kind of leads her to sort of lose her mind a little bit and ends up committing a crime of sorts that she drags Rebecca, this woman that she became obsessed with. It's so intense and weird because this again does not shy away from expressing the character's sort of intrusive thoughts, and it is very, very questionable and kind of daunting to read at times, but it is such an intensely atmospheric thing and you get so pulled into this woman's mind. I thought it was really great, and I think if you put on Grouper in the background while reading this, it makes the experience a bajillion times better. That's what I would do. So yes, I really want to reread this. So that's my recommendation. Those are all the books that I'm recommending today. Of course, you can take these recommendations and kind of deduce from the artists that I correlate them with and kind of get an idea, you know? I hope you enjoyed this. And if you end up reading any of these, if you have any thoughts on these, you can let me know. I hope you have a wonderful, amazing week. And I hope to be back soon talking more about books or art or writing or whatever it may be that I feel like talking about that week. So, bye-bye.